Okay, so let's look at the event cards that we have on the docket. French Navy dominates Caribbean is what's next, with the French, who's ineligible, so then the United States next in line, and you know, I kind of want to make sure that I have control of that West Indies spot into the next winter quarter phase, and right now I do, as for the at least the French do. So I don't think as the Patriots, since they're eligible, will find that of value to bother with. So with that said, I'm thinking my best option with the Patriots, now that they have tons of resources, is definitely doing a full command and activity. And in terms of which command, in the Washington, I forgot to move him back with all the units that were pushed into New Jersey. So, a march and skirmish is an option again. Moving everything that I had plopped down into New Jersey back into New York City. And by doing that, I would once again get control of New York City, I think. Or I could march into New York City and do another skirmish and whittle down the forces there in New York City some more. If I did that and took out another continental cube, I would be down. Yeah, I'd be down to just 5, opposed to the British, who would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm forgetting for battle what the force level calculation is. Add Tories up to British regulars. So right now they have a force level of 8. Knocking them down 2 still keeps them at 6, which means they're still rolling 2 dice. So doing a march and then skirmish into New York City maybe isn't the very best option, which makes me wonder if I should do something else for the moment. I'm starting to be low on continentals on the board. Or I could do rabble rousing. Or just rallying. Rally any spaces without active support. I think I might just want to do then a rally. And a rally. I wonder how many I can. I don't think there's a limit to rally. Add any spaces without active support, which is a lot of the map, so I probably should take advantage of this. So I'm going to rally in New York. I will rally in Pennsylvania. I will rally in New Jersey. Rally in Connecticut. Rally in Massachusetts. Raleigh, New Hampshire, because why not, I think. Raleigh in Maryland, Delaware. Raleigh in Philadelphia. Man, is it really every... I gotta double check the rule book to make sure this is how Raleigh works, because it almost seems too good to be true that I can actually add militia to literally the whole map. Which I guess is thematic of the home advantage the Patriots had. Rally commands add or recover Patriot forces. So procedure in each selected space. Or replace 2 units with a fort. Space already has a Patriot fort, may instead either the Patriots may select any one rally space with a Patriot fort and replace any militia with Continentals. So I'm thinking of adding a fort then as well. Oh, but I'm running, so I only have so many militia. Yeah, replace 2 units in New Jersey with 1 fort. Because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can place. South Carolina would be a good spot for 2. And Virginia. So I could do 3 militia in New York or 3 militia in Massachusetts and get ready for a takeover of Boston. See, I don't know the order of operations for this because I'm going to be placing up militia, but if I take those militia and then turn them into Continentals. I'm not sure which happens first. Do you go location by location? I'm thinking adding 3 to New York because it's fort plus population. So say New York, well, New York is somewhat done. Then I'll take a cube and a available militia from New Jersey to place a Patriot Fort. There. So that's 2 resources spent so far. We just place a militia in Maryland, Delaware. So that's another resource. And then I now have control of Maryland, Delaware. I'm going to place 3 in Massachusetts, which is another resource. And then I can place any militia in replace militia in a fort space with Continentals in just 1. So I'm going to do that in New York Colony, taking those 3 militia, replacing with 3 Continentals. And then I have I still have 3 more areas I can place troops down. So I will place a militia in South Carolina for a resource, and then control down there. I will do another in Philadelphia and take a resource for that. And then okay, so it's activate moving militia when moving into New York City. So, but it's active support. I was going to think about placing militia kind of in the city already of New York, but I can't do that. But I can put one in Boston, which I think I will. And now that's another resource. So, now for special activity, So I'm debating here if I want to do persuasion, which I don't really think I care for right now. It's either partisans or skirmish, and partisans is tempting because I can activate a yeah, I could do it in Philadelphia or Boston. Man, I can make Boston now extremely... I mean, I can make Philadelphia extremely likely to an attack, or extremely easy to attack, or I can do that to Boston as well, and Boston might make more sense. So if I activate my with skirmish with I'm trying to figure out if I get to decide on which unit gets taken out. Because if I do this in Boston, I would prefer to get rid of the regular. And I'm not sure if I get to choose if I get to pick the regular or not with skirmish. Or partisans. It says any one royalist unit. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to partisan as my special activity in Boston. So I activate there and then take out the British cube, which puts it in casualties, which pushes casualties up to 14 for the British. All right. So I felt that was a pretty successful turn for the rebellion. Now we move on to the Indian turn, and the Indians, when we look at their flow chart to see if they're actually going to do... Let me reorganize this a little bit. Put the cards down here. So when you look to see if they're actually going to do the card at their flow chart, does it shift support? No. Yeah, so they're not going to do the event. So no event. Support plus 1d6 is greater than opposition. Well, support's at 6, opposition's at 13, so even with a die roll, that's still not going to be the case. So, or that definitely will still be the... No, yeah, so it's raid. And once again, The raiding, I feel like I'm still doing this wrong because it seems that the raiding action is going to start to get kind of pointless here. So raid opposition colonies with adjacent. They're not going to be able to plunder. So they will raid, I guess. Oh no, they won't move the last piece. And I think Brant is actually now with the New York war bands, by the way. I didn't move him there, but I think he would have moved. So with raiding, without removing the last war party from any village, so if raid's not possible, then it's gather, which I think is what will actually happen. With gather, place villages where room and 3+ war parties. So let's see how gather is supposed to work. Any neutral or passive provinces. 1 resource per province selected. So it says gather, place villages where room, and 3+ war parties. So they're not going to be placing any villages. Then place war parties at villages. First, where enemies. Then where no underground war parties. So they're going to start with placing a war party here in Southwest because they have no active, and that one's free because the first one's free. And then they will also place one face down in Quebec. That Quebec one they will paying for. So now they're down to 2 resources. Then place war parties at villages. First where enemies, then where no underground war parties, then with Indian leader. So then they also, I think, place one with Brant face down. We still have control of New York Colony, but it's starting to get a little congested. And that one cost a resource as well, so now they're down to 1. So that's gather. Okay, so as always, I'm getting stuck up in the wording here. Then place war parties at villages. First. So if any villages of what? Place war parties in 2 spaces with room for a village. Oh yeah, so when I was placing a war party in Quebec, it's either place one war party up to 1 plus number of villages. If any village is available, place war parties in 2 spaces with Okay. Sorry, the Indian leader thing was actually for when placing for villages. So up here they would actually be getting 3. Down here 2. And then for the third one, if any village is available, yes, place war parties in 2 spaces with room for a village. First, where exactly Oh, we have a baby taking over the continent. I don't think the rebellion was ready for that. Hopefully the baby's on the side of the rebellion and not the royalist forces. Okay, so I did the village spaces for the gather. Now I need to figure out where they're going to do this last gather space. If any village is available, yes. If any village is available, place war parties in 2 spaces with room for a village, which is pretty much everywhere else on the map. First, where exactly 2 war parties already. Okay, so there's already 2 war parties in New York, so they will get a dude there, and then where exactly 1 war party. Oh, and then Florida. I guess. Whew. Which I think knocks him down to 0 resources. Okay, so then after that gather, then warpath. If Indian resources equal 0, trade if possible. I don't know why trading's not possible. Oh. Yeah, trading is possible because they have plenty of unactivated war bands at villages. So they will then activate a warband up here in Quebec to get a resource. And that's then the command and activity for the Indians. So now they're ineligible. We move French and British over to eligible. And we now go back to the cards to see what is next. And it's Admiral Pierre-André de Safran. Sounds like a French dude. French are for sure first. The French are first. Also, I need to see if leaders automatic. I don't think leaders automatically move. Because Clinton has been in Philadelphia, which seems like a pointless place for him to be in right now. But I don't think they move unless they have to. Yeah, so I think he's just been kind of stuck in there, which has worked out for me in a way. So, do I want to do this card for the French? Raise F and I 1 level, French resources +3. Ooh. They could use resources and F and I going up. I do like the idea of putting F and I up, but it's just, they can do that with an action. Ugh. So yeah, just raising 1 level of F for F and I, and then French resources to +3 seems kind of lame when they can do a lot of other things. There's no real battle spaces for them. I mean, we could march into Philadelphia. That would be a very interesting play. Yeah, if we move into Philadelphia, we have that French blockade there. I already have some militia there. Oh yeah, but it's March then. I can't march and battle. It'd be March. They don't really have a lot of guys they can put on the map. Raising F and I 1 though sounds really nice. Regardless. Because 2 resources to muster. Jeez. Yeah, they kind of actually need these resources. So I'm going to go back and do... I guess I'll do the event. I don't know if it really is that important for the French, but we're going to do event. Event, and then F and I up 1. And I put out a blockade. And the question is, do I want to put it back at New York City, or do I want to put it at Boston? Maybe I do want to put it at Boston. I'm going to do Boston this time. Don't know if that actually makes sense or not, but I'm going to put it Boston. And then 3 resources for the French. All right. Now we move on to the British. All right, so let's go over here. So what the British do, so they can't do the event. So that's simple enough. British resources greater than 0, it is. 10 plus British regulars on map. And so 10 push on a map, and rebels control without a fort. So right now we don't control a city space without a fort. We control the rebels control Charlestown, which does have a fort. So no to that. So that means available British regulars greater than 1d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if they roll a 6, it's a no, I guess. So let's see. They only have... Right now, the available British regulars is exactly 6. So... Oops. What's going on here? What is it that... Sorry about the camera, guys. I'm trying to get this die roll set up. So if it's a 6, it's a no. Nope, that does not count. And it is a 6. So it's not greater than a 6 according to the chart. So then since that's no, 2 plus active rebels in a space outnumbered by British regulars plus leader. I'm looking at Philadelphia, but it says regulars, and I have 2 plus active rebels in a space, but it says outnumbered by British regulars plus leader. And a regular is not a Tory. So I think it's a no. I'm trying to read. I want to read what it says. British regular. I think that's the red cues. Yep, okay. Red cues, British regulars. So that means, going back to the flow chart. No, so then we march. So for March, lose no British control, leave last Tory and war party in each space, and last regular if British control, but no active support within that. So they only have a couple marching spots, which is New York City. Actually, so their marching spots are in last regular if British control but no active support. So they could move that guy out from. They can move the guy out from Quebec City. They definitely could move out of New York City. They can't move out of Philadelphia. They can't move out of Norfolk because they don't have active support. They can't move out of Savannah. They can't move Florida. So they're going to do their what? Okay, let's see. I think they're going to do this. March, one resource per destination space selected. So moving the largest group first, add British control to up to 2 cities, then colonies. So moving the largest group first. Add British control to up to 2 cities, then colonies. So moving the largest group first, add British control up to 2 cities. So they could go from New York City to Charlestown. So I think they'd take 4 from New York City and move them to Charlestown, which is 1 resource, which gives them control. which definitely is what I would want them to do, and almost seems too simple that they would do that for me, but they can't take control of another city, so then up to 2 colonies. Which they can't with what's remaining in New York City. So this is one of those situations where I'm like, did I do something wrong? Because them marching out of New York City to take over Charlestown doesn't seem amazing. Then march to do they bring Tories along? Then, March 2, population 1 plus spaces, not at active fort. First to add Tories where regulars are the only British units. Then to add regulars where Tories are the only British units. Okay, so they spent 1 resource to move to Charlestown. So I'm trying to figure out, would they have moved a Tory to Charlestown? Opposed to... This might be something I gotta reference in the playbook to see how they simulate a march. So I'm still a little hung up here on whether these if I cube should one of these should be a Tories from New York City or not. The flow chart just says place regulars or lose no British control, leave last Tory and war party in each space, and last regular at British control but no active support. Within that, moving the largest groups first, add British control to up to 2 cities, then colonies within each first, where rebel cubes then highest population. Then march to population 1 plus spaces not at active support. First to add Tories where regulars are the only British units. Then to add regulars where Tories are the only British units. So I think a Tory would come down to Charlestown as well. Then to add Tories, then to add regulars where Tories are the only British units. Oh yeah, so then I think then to add regulars where Tories are the only British units. So I think 1 cube goes from New York City then to Boston, which is another resource. Now they're down to 0. Oh, I guess Quebec City. Well, that was the largest group first, was New York City. All right, so I don't know if I did that right, honestly. It seems kind of right, but it also seems like they just gave up New York City, which is something I'm not going to complain about. But so after marching, it says that's with common cause. British regulars greater than Tories. So that's common cause things thrown out the window. So then it's, if not possible, skirmish. First in West Indies, then where exactly 1 British regular, then per below. Remove as many rebel cubes as possible. So, skirmish. First in West Indies. So they're going to skirmish in the West Indies and take out a cube, I guess, for 2 French cubes, which means they lose 1 casualty, but the rebellion loses 2 in return. And that's the British turn, I guess. Yeah, I would love to know if I did that marching action right. because it seemed that was a little overkill to get everything down there to Charlestown. They probably, I want to say, would have left one cube then in New York City, one of the British cubes, but lose no British control, leave last Tory and war party in each space. I'll try to read through it once in the rules of play here. Read through that process one more time. Because this is really starting to bother me. March. When executing the bullets below, do not move any pieces needed for British control of the origin space, nor remove the last Tory or war party from any space, nor the last British regular from a space with British control but no active support. So all that makes sense to me. First, identify all groups of British units able to march, which was New York City and Quebec City. So I did that. Moving the largest group first, which is New York City. Add British control to cities, then colonies, but not Indian reserve provinces, for a total of up to 2 spaces. Within each, first where there are rebellion cubes, then with the highest population. So for sure, they're going from New York City to Charlestown. Stop moving units into each destination space once British control is established. Then, march to spaces with population. 1 or 2 that are not at active support. First to add Tories where regulars are the only British units. Then to add regulars where Tories are the only British units. So I think because of order of operations, we'll leave a British cube back there. I think there's probably a rule. March to get as many underground militia war parties as possible to the destination. As far as possible, target or remove enemy forts. Move friendly pieces from unavailable first if possible, then from available. Move unavailable or casualty pieces and markers to available. Remove friendly pieces. Yeah, it doesn't really, in my mind, clarify how you handle British units include Tories, so in gather, or March says, move any British regulars into an adjacent space. Tories may only accompany So they moved down near Charlestown. Then march the spaces of population 1 or 2 that are not active support. First add Tories. Regulars are the only British units there. Okay, I'm just going to say that's how that works. And then after March, execute a special activity. Common cause. Skirmish. Oh yeah, and I did the skirmish. Okay. So we're going to say that was the British turn. And Patriots and Indians are back to eligible. And we'll move on to the next card. And I will take a break.